Are we all full and happy and healthy and maybe a little tipsy after lunch? Yeah? Good. Yeah, I was just standing in the back earlier listening to talks, and I thought, like, I must have the best job in the world. I get to drink sangria and travel the world and talk about stuff that I like doing. Not that I really have a job, but you get the point. So thank you to all the organizers of the conference, and thank you for having me. I'm Rikke, and I'm a product designer. I'm based in Copenhagen at the moment, and I've been designing products for big corporates, for small startups, for medical, insurance, banks, whatnot. And I've always been designing my own products as well. I've been designing websites and apps and games and hats even, and what I could get my hands on, basically. And I've always been a maker, and I always enjoyed making things. No matter what it is, it just ticks me. I want to make stuff. And that's how I became a designer as well. This was the first website I made. I was about 12 years old, and I was absolutely obsessed with ponies, like many other 12-year-old girls. And so a day I would ride these ponies and hang out with them, and at night I would work on this website. So I sold virtual ponies for virtual money. It was kind of like The Sims, but before The Sims, and everything was done in like static HTML. So my users would write in the guest book, and I would give them these virtual money, and we'd sort of communicate through that. Pretty weird, but probably also a peak of my career so far. Later, I got into making apps. I really like the idea of you can make something small and you can put it in your pocket and you can go to your grandma and show what you've done, and she'll understand it as well. So this is one of the apps I put in App Store. It's called Perfect, and as the name says, it's sort of to help you get the perfectly boiled egg. At this time, I would eat eggs and boil eggs like almost obsessively. Like I would have like the exact time my egg should be boiled, and I was really passionate about this for some weird reason. And so I decided to make Perfect, because I didn't know always what my egg would look like on the inside, and this is what I wanted to solve. So together with a friend, I boiled 60 eggs. This took 2 days, and we'd boiled an egg for 10 seconds, we'd chop it up and take a photo, and one more for 20 seconds, chop it up, take a photo, all the way to 9 minutes. So this took 2 days, and there was eggs all over, and it was kind of disgusting. And I didn't eat eggs for almost a year after we released this, because I was just so full of it. It's still in the App Store, you can go download it, and even though it seems like a silly and like kind of strange thing to build an egg app, I think it learned me a lot from what it takes from having like some idea and taking it all the way to execution, actually getting it into the App Store, right? Because you can have funny and silly ideas, but it's the process that should be fun, and you should learn how to drive that and do those things. And boil 60 eggs. And it even won a little App of the Day award, so I made this little egg hat up here. All right. And later I found out that you luckily can make money from making stuff for the internet, which is really nice. So as my time as a designer, I've been making all these different kind of projects, egg projects, and my own stuff, and also a lot of client work. And I never really considered myself either like a service designer or UX person or UI or whatever. I just really like nerding out over icons, over UX, over products. I just really like making stuff together with nice people. And luckily for me and for you guys as well, there's a lot of those in this industry. And actually this talk is not really going to be about either design or development. I'm more than happy to meet up afterwards, and we can discuss colors and login forms from now on till Christmas. But this talk is going to be about a little adventure I've been on for the past 6 months. This is a picture from November 2015, where it actually all started. I attended a hackathon in London, And this hackathon brought together 100 people, a mix of developers, designers, business people, just to come together to make something out of nothing for that weekend. And I teamed up with these people, and we decided to tackle a problem we all had in common, at some point in our lives at least, which is social anxiety. I believe that social anxiety is the biggest reason for us not achieving the things we want in life. If it's getting that dream job, or the partners we want, or getting the projects to life, or even standing on stages, it's holding us back all the time, every day, even without us knowing it. And just imagine like all the potential that schools and organizations and your workplace and the world is missing out of because of this. Some conscious, some unconscious. And this is what we decided to tackle. So this weekend we started doing research, figuring out what it was about, why do we have it, what does it do to our bodies, etc. And I was super hyped and passionate about this. Like, we could actually make a difference, and also it's like really fucking interesting what happens to us when we're anxious, right? So we did research on this, and we came across this thing called exposure therapy. And exposure therapy is the best way of overcoming any social phobias. It's sort of straightforward. You expose yourself to the things you might be afraid of in small graduate steps, and in the end you sort of overcome it. And this is like a traditional therapy form that you can get help from your doctor, or traditional therapy, or however treatment you want. So exposure therapy is super great. It's super good. But it's also not accessible to most people. First of all, it's really expensive to get professional treatment. There's also like a big entry hurdle, right? Like you need to be seriously ill before seeking help. And further of all, it's also like stigmatized. We don't really want to talk about it, do we? So I was really interested in this exposure therapy and the problem overall. And after the hackathon, things were going a bit slow. You're a big team, everyone needs to be involved, and people losing motivation. But I just didn't want to let go on this project. I was like, I have to be able to do something, even though I maybe can't code, or I can't do a business plan just yet. I need to continue on this. So I kept doing research about it. I started doing these experiments with myself. At this point, I lived in London, and I was extremely anxious about being on my own in public. So going to a restaurant, or going to a gig, or whatever it might be. So I decided to document all this and post it as Medium blog posts. So I give myself challenges, take pictures, and publish it to everyone. And I even decided to start a little Facebook group. So I invited like 10 of my Facebook friends into this Facebook chat and started giving them challenges as well, just to understand what happens when you bring people together in order to overcome fears. And the first challenge was to high-five a stranger.
High five.
What are you doing?
High five.
Sorry.
So I did. And all these things I kept documenting and experimenting with and publishing to the world. And the amazing thing that happened shortly after was that people started messaging me from all over the world. They could relate, they understood. Some people even told me about their fears about going to the supermarkets on their own. Some even asked me to write a blog post about talking on the phone. And I was like, why is no one talking about this? This is crazy. It's all over the world. It's even, I could look at my workplace at this point. It's everywhere, and it's even in people who are super confident to the out world. So I was like, this is so interesting. And it was also super nice and like gratifying to understand that my work as a designer didn't necessarily need to be about pixels or sketch or the latest prototyping tool. Like I could do work, I could design experiences for people that weren't necessarily in a small screen. Fast forward, I then went to I've been doing these talks for a while, and I went to a conference in Italy. Was talking about design and development, and there I met a person who later on became to mean a lot for this project. And actually also I met the organizers of this conference. So it all comes back together. And his name was Fabian, the guy I met, and we started emailing. So he'd been writing similar posts about anxiety and mental health, and we were like, let's make something together. Let's see what happens. So we started emailing and started working remotely to see if we could build some sort of prototype, the first step to make the product we wanted to make called Steps. And so we did. And this was actually one of the first designs that I shared with Fabian. And I think this is a pretty, this gives a pretty good insight to how we work. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect. Often it's just an idea on a post-it, and the designs looks often something like this, and then we make it into something better, right? So we built the app 100% remote at this time. I lived in London and he lived in Germany. And we shipped a product to about 150 beta testers within 2 months. We're working really quickly and just to get something out there, which is absolutely amazing. And then we launched to the App Store in February. Actually, we worked so well together that we decided to leave our jobs. And we both moved to Copenhagen to go full-time on this. So in February, we launched to the App Store, and the product we launched is called Steps. And Steps is an app to help people overcome social anxiety using principles from exposure therapy. So the product we launched is pretty straightforward or simple. We introduced the users to a set of categories with challenges, such as friendships or self-appreciation or work life. We then present you to a list of challenges you can try, and you save it 2 steps, and you complete it. But this is like a pretty quick and dirty thing we put together just to understand if there's an issue big enough for people to actually seek help for it. And then we tried this, launching on Product Hunt, which was really exciting. Never anything we'd done before, but just to spread the word, sort of get it out there. And I mean, we had a really overwhelming launch, and I think for me, this is really like the first proof that there is a huge need for mental health products out there. Today, the App Store is full of apps tracking what you eat, how you look, how many sit-ups, how many kilometers you run, but not a lot is about what's up here. So we had a really successful product hunt launch, which was absolutely amazing, and shortly after, Apple decided to pick us up, which of course gave a huge buzz and loads of downloads, and it was just overwhelming and absolutely amazing to experience. I think the most amazing part for us have been all the feedback we've gotten from users. This is just one of them. My inbox was full of them after we launched. Hello, my name is Beep, and I've just downloaded the app to my phone and created a challenge list. The app made me so happy because it made me understand that I'm not the only one who has these problems. I will keep it on my phone for a very long time, and probably I'll be expecting more challenges. This is amazing what you're doing. And this is what makes my work worthwhile. Just a few weeks ago, I went to this investor pitch event, which was kind of interesting. And I started talking about what we did and why I was really passionate about it. And then one of these investors comes to me afterwards and says, okay, that's really interesting, but what if you solve the problem for your users and then you don't have any users anymore? And I was like, like, first of all, that'd be really amazing. So I don't really see it as a problem. But second of all, I think this is the general issue with how we perceive mental health today. We think it's something dark, something weird, something we have to fix, get rid of, when really it's just like our physical health. Like if I go run a marathon, it doesn't mean I can run a marathon in a year from now, right? It's something we constantly have to work on, and we have to take care of ourselves, and it doesn't just stop being there because we fix it. So this is something we want to be part of that change as well, right? So what we've been focusing on right now, and which can be a bit hard for us product people when we like to push pixels and make things and publish them, was we've been taking sort of a step back and trying to really understand what we need to build and why, truly looking at our users. What are they doing already? Where do they exist? Where do they talk? Truly doing user research and understanding them. And I mean, in the product world, we have this saying about move fast and break things, or whatever, yeah. Which is sort of how I always worked and done things. I just sort of did something and then see what happens, right? And I think it's truly a great mindset and mentality about product building. But I also think when it comes to health products that we need to be extremely cautious of how we move fast and how we break things. And I don't really think we can apply it to this world. This is about people's well-being and their lives, and we truly have to understand what we're doing and why. And this is, of course, it's so much harder said than done. But people are very different, and they'll need different solutions in different times and whatever. And we're responsible as developers and designers for this, when designing for health at least. Okay, that was a bit about what I've been up to the past few months. But let's talk about the meaty stuff, the good stuff. What have I learned? What can I share with you guys? First thing, it's a roller coaster. Like, I used to have bad and good weeks, or like months, or like projects maybe. Now I had good and bad moments. Like, when you pour your soul into a project or like a passion like this, and it turns out to be a thing you can actually go full-time on, it's like, you're so emotionally attached to it. And that means like every day I go to work, my mood is like this, and yeah, it's extremely hard. But that's also what makes it fun. This is my biggest learning from this project, for sure. I used to be, as a maker, really into making things and making them look nice and nerd out on that. But what I learned here is, like, as soon as I stopped being fixated on some app solution and started just doing research and doing these experiments with blog posts, people became interested, and I learned things 10 times faster. The thing that it wasn't hard to launch an app or make a product. The thing to understand was what to make and why, and how could I make sure that I kept being motivated. So please try to step away from our screens, from our code, from our design, from our sketch, and try to look at the world and see what's happening. Can we do something else than just put pixels on a screen at this very moment to truly understand what we should be building? Which basically leads to this as well. It wasn't hard building an app or a prototype like that. Like, tech is never hard when it comes to projects. What is hard is to keep the people around you engaged, and keep yourself and them motivated, because it's only you driving it. It's not a paycheck. It's not your boss. It's just you. Always be nice. I think you really understand this when you have nothing, basically. You need to ask for favors all the time, every day, when you're trying to start a project up. And your network is everything. I mean, the people sitting around you right now, the people you're working with, they are the ones who can get you to where you are today. And I'm a very strong believer that we aren't self-made. I think that we are made up from the experiences we get and the people we surround us with. So make sure to find some good people to hang out with. This is a bit meta, since it's what I want to do with my product as well. But it's so important. Like, go out after this and talk to the people around you. Talk to the one sitting next to you right now. Attend that conference. Go on stage. Whatnot. I mean, it will lead you to something. I promise you. Thank you. I don't know if there's a Q&A. Yeah. For sure, let's do Q&A, and if totally comfortable with it. I'm very active on Twitter, so also do feel free to reach out. But yeah, any questions?
Well, thank you for this session. It was very inspiring, and it really talked to me to many aspects. Especially, I wanted to ask you about what you were saying with the human part, because I know you started in this industry differently, and money and stuff. What was it like then for you when you were working for? I mean, have you always worked as a freelancer?
No, I actually never been freelancing. I've been working for design agencies and a few startups and yeah, a bit of everything. I think I've always brought the human aspect to work. Maybe weren't necessarily in my project or the thing I was building, but more within the team. And I think, yeah, that's how I enjoy it at least.
I've got anxiety speaking now. You spoke about the need to talk more about mental health. Mm-hmm. When you began this project, did you have anxiety about actually using the words mental health?
Yes, and I still think I do. Because it's been, like, first of all, the two aspects of it. Like, first of all, it's really stigmatized, that's one thing. But also, how am I good enough to claim that I'm trying to solve something? Or, and again, I keep telling myself that is the issue. Why does it have to be something we can't touch or talk about? Why is it something so dangerous? Like, it's just like physical health, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell myself.
Great project.
Thank you.
I agree. Amazing project. So I think that there's something from a product standpoint that I'm very interested in, which is a user base with a lot of anxiety and behavior change. So can you talk a little bit about how you've created a system that's not too overwhelming for people who kind of struggle with this?
Yeah, I think we sort of learned it the hard way. Because, as mentioned, I'm very much a person just puts things out there and doesn't care too much and it'll be fine. Where here I really learned that it does mean a lot to some people. And they were very different. We got a lot of emails from users who weren't necessarily happy with the stuff we were writing, and then we got emails from users who said like, oh, you changed my life, and which, yeah, it's really hard to understand what should you listen to and what shouldn't you, and should you listen to everyone. And what we spent the first month on after launching was just to clean up on all the content we had. We were like, why do we say this? Can we, can we stand up for that and try to? I think now we're in a spot where I can say like, yes, everything in this app is something I can put my name on. But it's been a while. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey. Where were you in the process, and before you knew that this was actually something that you can work on full time, and what was the science telling you that?
Well, I've been working. I'm just gonna start from the beginning, maybe. You know how people always say like, "Oh, just take a leap, like jump into it, quit your job." I don't believe that at all. I think everything needs to be built up and things will happen around you that will help you take natural choices. That's sort of the mentality I'm living with, at least. So as soon as I started just writing blog posts about the topic and said, hey, I'm really interested in this, is anyone else? Then people like naturally joined and helped me and introduced me to other people. So it's sort of been like a natural ride, right? Instead of me just being like, oh, wake up, I have a great idea, I'm going to quit my job. Well, I think you also need to prove to yourself that you can stick with it long enough to make it a thing. So it's not just interesting today, but it'll be interesting in 3 years as well for you, because it will take at least 5 from now, right, before you have anything. So yeah, build it up, I think.
Hey, I feel sympathized when you say that, like, in many projects, you're the only one who drives the projects, and like sometimes you even feel angry when other people don't do the job, and you're
Yeah.
the only one who driving it.
Yeah.
So what do you do at that time to like kind of make yourself feel more motivated, or how do you motivate other people?
I try to make sure that at least in this project, because I've been feeling very similar to what you're describing there in previous project, and I do. I think something I learned here was not to say, oh, I can't develop code, or I can't do X, Y, Z, so I can't do anything. I think what I try to do is like, well, I just need to drive it. It's my project. Like, if I don't do anything, and then just find a way through. Like, if I can't write code, are there other things I can do? Can I start a Facebook group? Can I do a talk about it? What resources do I have right now? Because then people naturally like it. It's easier to motivate them in that sense, like to be a leader in that way, I think, instead of whipping someone, right, to do stuff. That's what inspired them to tag along, I guess.
I see. So you never give up, like always try to find a way to make it happen, and then
Yeah,
other
maybe.
people can jump in later.
Yeah, maybe, or just make sure that you don't feel stuck just because other people. Yeah, don't be so reliant on other people. Like, try to be a driver just yourself and use the resources you have. If you're really good at making movies or making animations, then use that skill to drive it forward and don't let other people hold you back.
Thank you. It's a good advice.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Tweet me.